walk into a room. You don't say a word, and yet something shifts. People notice you. Some glance, others stare, but they can't quite put their finger on it. You're not loud. You're not trying to prove anything. And still, there's something about you that unsettles them. It's calm. It's focused. It's quiet strength. That's what Nietzsche believed was real power, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be heard.
We live in a world that often rewards noise. The person who speaks the most in a meeting is assumed to be the smartest. The one who posts the most online gets the most attention. But Nietzsche didn't buy into that illusion. He believed that power, real, grounded, unshakable power, starts from within. And once you have that kind of power, you don't need to fight to be seen. You become the kind of person who is noticed without even trying. So, how do you outsmart people without saying a single word? It begins with something that sounds simple, but is actually rare. The ability to observe without reacting. Most people walk into a room already trying to prove something. They want to be liked. They want to be respected. They want to be heard. And in that rush to be seen, they reveal everything. Insecurities, needs, fears. But when you walk in with nothing to prove, everything changes. There's a psychological advantage to being silent. It makes people uncomfortable, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because silence forces others to fill in the blanks. When you don't explain yourself, people start projecting. They try to figure you out. And in doing so, they often reveal more about themselves than they realize. That's where the real power lies. Nietzsche once wrote, "The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly." The deeper your thoughts, the quieter your presence, the more mysterious you seem to people who only understand surface-level noise. And that mystery, it becomes your shield and your sword. You don't need to impress. You don't need to compete. You just need to be completely anchored in who you are. Think about the times you've met someone who seemed completely at ease in themselves. They didn't rush their words. They didn't try to win anyone over. They weren't reactive. There's a kind of gravity to that kind of person. And here's the secret. They weren't born with it. They built it. Day by day, thought by thought, by choosing not to respond to every little thing, by sharpening their mind instead of trying to sharpen their image. In psychology, there's a term called strategic silence. It's the idea that by holding back, you actually create more influence. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. When you react less, people start to wonder what you're thinking. You create space, and in that space, you gather information. You watch people. You notice things. The way someone's eyes shift when they're lying. The subtle tension in someone's jaw when they're angry but hiding it. All of these are clues, and the person who notices the most, without rushing to respond, is often the one in control. But this isn't just about staying quiet. It's about building a kind of internal clarity that makes you dangerous in the best way. Most people are full of noise inside, doubts, insecurities, a constant craving for validation. They talk to fill the silence because they're scared of what it reveals. But when you've done the work on yourself, when you've faced your own shadows and accepted who you are, you no longer need to be loud. You become sharp, focused, unshakable. Nietzsche talked a lot about the will to power, but not in the way most people think. He didn't mean dominating others. He meant mastering yourself. It's the drive to grow, to become more than you were yesterday. And one of the most underrated forms of power is the ability to keep your cool when everyone else is losing theirs. That's how you win without saying a word. Imagine this. Someone insults you in front of others. Most people would either fire back or shrink away. But you just look at them. Calm, unbothered, maybe even with a slight smile. You say nothing, and yet everyone in the room feels it. Your silence speaks louder than 100 clever comebacks, because it shows something rare. It shows control. And control in today's world is magnetic. Let's be honest, most people are reactive. They get offended easily. They speak before thinking. They reveal their strategies, their wounds, their fears, all in the first 5 minutes. And that makes them predictable, weak. But when you're the kind of person who thinks before they act, who listens more than they speak, you become hard to read. And that makes you powerful. Because people can't manipulate what they don't understand. This isn't about becoming cold or distant. It's about becoming deliberate. You don't waste energy proving your intelligence in every conversation. You don't interrupt just to be heard. You don't jump into drama. Instead, you watch, you study, and when you finally do speak, it's clear you've been paying attention. There's a reason mysterious characters in movies often seem the most powerful. It's not because they're magical. It's because they hold back. They're unpredictable, and people respect what they can't fully figure out. That applies in real life too. When you stop trying to be liked and start focusing on becoming grounded, thoughtful, and emotionally strong, you become a force people naturally respect, even if they don't understand why. And it's not just about silence or mystery, it's also about presence. Have you ever met someone whose presence fills a room before they even speak? That's not charisma in the traditional sense. That's someone who has done the inner work. Someone who doesn't need the room's approval to feel valid. That kind of presence can't be faked. It's built through years of self-discipline, reflection, and choosing depth over noise. Nietzsche believed that becoming who you are meant stripping away illusions, letting go of who you think you should be, and facing who you really are. Most people run from that. But when you don't, when you face it head on, you become rare. And people sense that. It's not arrogance, it's self-possession. And that's the foundation of outsmarting anyone without a word. You see, the smartest people in the room are often the quietest, not because they're shy, but because they're processing, they're watching, they're letting others reveal themselves. And when they do speak, it's with intention. That's how you influence without dominating. That's how you command respect without begging for it. And here's something nobody tells you. People remember how you made them feel more than what you said. If your presence makes people feel calm, seen, or even slightly intimidated by your clarity, that's a win. You've outsmarted the noise by refusing to play its game. You've chosen stillness in a world addicted to chaos. So how do you get there? You start small. You practice silence, not just with your mouth, but with your reactions. You resist the urge to explain yourself all the time. You learn to sit with discomfort, to watch your own thoughts, to sharpen your perception of others. And most importantly, you build a mind that's rooted in truth, not ego, because here's the truth. People don't fear the loudest voice in the room. They fear the calmest, the one who listens deeply, the one who doesn't flinch, the one who sees through the noise and doesn't get pulled into it. That's who you want to become. That's who Nietzsche would say has understood the real meaning of power. In the end, the loudest person may win the crowd, but the quiet one often wins the game, not through manipulation, not through charm, but through clarity, through restraint, through a presence so grounded that others can't help but take notice. So next time you're in a conversation, a negotiation, or even a conflict, try saying less, watch more, let people speak, let them reveal their hand, and when it's time to act, do so with calm precision. That's how you outsmart anyone, without saying a word.